Welcome back to Bad Take Philly. This week we're doing something new. We're going to preview the Eagles game before it actually happens. Last couple weeks we've been recapping it, but we're just going to let you guys know what we think is going to happen, different matchups, different things just to look out for, as you're watching the game. So we'll start just kind of with the Eagles last week. They coming off that big win against Washington. They're 3-0, the one seed in the NFC. Nothing can go wrong. They're on their way to 17-0. So we shouldn't really worry about the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? But the Jaguars are an interesting team. They're 2-1. They have a shutout win against the Colts, and then they had a dominating win last week against the Chargers, and the Chargers were thought to be a really good team coming into this season. So the Jaguars are kind of sneaking up on people. So headed by that is Trevor Lawrence, second-year quarterback out of Clemson. So Brendan, what do you think about Trevor Lawrence and how he's played so far this year?
Yeah, it's actually, I feel like he's kind of going unnoticed. He's been taking care of the ball this year, and he led the league in interceptions last year. I think he had like 18 touchdowns and 18 interceptions or something. Uh, and he's been taking care of the ball a lot. And this offense has actually been really efficient. They have a plus 46 point differential, which is second in the league, I think, behind the Bills. So and they haven't played bad teams. They played a Colts defense and they put up 24. Chargers, they put up 38. And I think we just need to get to Trevor Lawrence early. He's still a young quarterback, so he's going to make mistakes if we get to him. We saw that against two veterans and Kirk Cousins and Carson Wentz. We got to them early. And obviously there's a lot of different play styles there with quarterbacks. But if our pass rush is good, I think we can rattle them a little bit. And so if we do get to him early, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, they have an exciting young sort of core on offense with Etienne, Lawrence, and like those wide receivers they have. Kirk's looked very good this year so far, wide receiver too. So definitely like a hungry young offense that we have to watch out for.
Yeah, I'm really high on Trevor Lawrence. I was really high on him coming out of Clemson. He might be the best quarterback that we faced so far. Just looking at him, the first 3 games of the year, I think he's improved as the season's gone on. He makes a lot of plays out of the pocket. He's very people don't give him credit for his mobility. He's not going to run the ball a ton. He'll run the ball a little bit, but he, kind of like in a Joe Burrow mold too, will make plays out of the pocket, and he's extremely accurate. He also has a cannon for an arm. They don't really push the ball downfield because they don't have like downfield threats, but what I've seen from them is that they get the ball out really quickly. So they have Christian Kirk, they have Marvin Jones kind of in the slot, out in the flats, short, like quick slants, those kind of plays. A guy, Evan Ingram, who's not terrible. James Robinson, they'll use Travis Etienne coming out of the backfield on screens, that kind of thing. Like they want to get the ball out of Trevor Lawrence's hands really quickly. It's not to say they have a bad O-line. I think their O-line is pretty decent. A lot of teams have blitzed Lawrence, and their O-line has picked up, the protection, giving them some time to throw. So I think it's going to be a little tough getting to Lawrence quickly because they get the ball out of his hand really quickly. But we'll see how that kind of goes.
Yeah, and again, I think if we just show him a few different looks like early, and if we do find like a way to get to him, I think that's a big key, just to set the tone. And I think with this Eagles team, I think every week has been a test. Like obviously, week 1 we played a hyped Lions offense, we played a hyped Lions team. Week 2, a good Vikings team coming off a big win on primetime. Last week, a division rival, and this week, like we're favored a touchdown, which I think is like a lot because the Jags aren't a bad team, but it's another test. Like we should win this game. We're a better team. We're playing Doug Pederson. It's the first time he's been back, and I think it's going to be a big win. Maybe not in everyone's eyes, but as an Eagles fan, I think it's going to be a good test to play. We have another home game, and again, a young, good quarterback, like you said, might be the best quarterback we're seeing because every other quarterback is inconsistent, and who knows what they're going to do each week.
I want to touch on Doug Pederson coming back. Not like a huge thing, but obviously he was the former head coach of the Eagles, and we still have a decent amount of pieces that were there when he was head coach. So I'm not sure exactly how the inner workings of the NFL goes for head coaches coaching or going against former teams, but that is something to keep an eye on. Maybe he knows some tactics to get by our O-line or to stop our D-line or whatever. But one thing I do want to say is that the fans at the link better standing ovation for Doug Pederson. Absolutely. There's no other thing you can do for Doug Peterson. If I hear a single boo, I'm gonna be upset.
Yeah, I like Doug Peterson is just kind of the epitome to me of just like a professional coach. Like you just, getting rid of Urban Meyer last year, who was an absolute dumpster fire. If a dumpster fire met a train wreck, if it met a plane wreck, like the worst head coaching hire in NFL history by far. And you bring in an adult, and you see Trevor Lawrence actually looks like a really competent quarterback, and the team as a whole just looks a lot better. And I think a lot of that definitely is with Doug Peterson. Also touching on this offense, I wanted to talk about their run game. They have James Robinson, who's coming off that Achilles from last year, and they've been able to run the ball really well. James Robinson ran for 100 yards last week. A lot of their bigger explosive plays have come on the ground that can open up holes with Cam Robinson, Brandon Sheriff. They have a good O line, so I think like it's going to be a tough test from us, but I think we can stand up to them. Like they've not played a defense that is as good as ours, I think. Like Darius Slay is not going to be scared of Zay Jones. Zay Jones has had a decent year, but I don't worry about their receivers too much. We just got to wrap up and tackle because it's going to be a lot of short plays, a lot of screens, that kind of thing. Like the West Coast offense, just getting the ball out quickly. So I think that suits well for TJ Edwards, who we talk about every week, who's a really great linebacker. Also see a lot of Kaiser White making tackles. So I think we can have a lot of success against them.
Yeah, our defense has showed up. Like we've been one of the best defenses in the league. We stopped a really good Vikings offense, not so very good Carson Wentz led Commanders offense. But again, it's going to be a test. And back to Doug Peterson, no booze. He should not have to pay for a beer in the city his entire life. He gave us our first Super Bowl. Hopefully Sirianni can give us our second. But yeah, I think it'll be a good test.
And this is a very important win, in my opinion. If you look at the Eagles' schedule, we play just a bunch of bums, in my opinion. Like there are not a lot of great teams on this schedule. The hardest teams are probably like the Cowboys, the Cardinals, and the Packers. So it's very important. And the Eagles genuinely can easily be the number one seed going into the playoffs, and that gives us a bye, and that would be absolutely massive for this team's chances at making a deep playoff run. So we need to win these quote unquote easy games. So it's very important to get the win this week.
Yeah, kind of switching over to Jaguars defense. We talked about in the last video about how the Eagles weren't really able to get the run game going, and they're going to be tested this week because the Jaguars are the number one team against the run so far this year, which is just kind of crazy to think about, just thinking about how bad Jacksonville has been. But they've only allowed 165 yards over the course of 3 games. They absolutely shut down Austin Eckler last week. So we need to get the run game going. I think that's a huge test for us. Like, Sirianni loves to throw the ball, but like I think this is a good week to just try and establish the run and see what you can do. Like if you can run on this Jacksonville team has been really stout. Like I think, that can kind of build momentum for future weeks on becoming more balanced and becoming like just having as much success on the ground as we did the first week and as much success as we have in the air.
Yeah, I agree. And another guy on that defense is Devin Lloyd, and he's made a really early impact. He's been a really good coverage linebacker, which is pretty rare in general, especially for a rookie in week 3. He drops into coverage a lot, and I think it'll be, a good challenge for Hurts, who's shown what he can do with his arm, but just reading that defense even more. So it'll be a good test. The run game definitely has to get going just for us to establish, like we've been dominant, but we haven't been able to have as many of those long drives like we did the first couple of weeks. And so hopefully we get that run game going, and our O-line, who's one of, if not the best in the league, can dominate the line.
So do you have another defensive point to make?
Yeah, I think like if we want to compare how Jacksonville is going to attack us to like the first 3 games, I think it might be more resembling of how the Lions attacked us. The Jaguars have blitzed a lot more over the course of the season, so they'll stunt a lot with their defensive tackles and defensive edges players. So like I think the first 3 weeks building from the Lions game, where I think the pass protection of the online wasn't great. Last week against Washington, Hurts had a clean pocket every time to take those deep shots to Devontae and AJ Brown. So I think they'll have trouble getting pressure on us. The one player on defense that can get pressure is Josh Allen. He has 2 sacks so far this year, and he's disruptive player. But other than that, like Trayvon Walker really hasn't made a big splash other than like a week 1 good game against Washington. So yeah, don't really worry about the pass rush as much. Devin Lloyd he gets back into like the passing zones and stuff like that. He has 6 pass deflections, 2 interceptions, which are kind of lucky interceptions because they were both off of like tips passes, but still, I think he's played a lot better as the season's gone on. I wasn't really impressed with him week 1 against Washington, but compare that to his performance last week, I think we're starting to see why he was drafted as a first rounder. But yeah, they're just a really opportunistic defense. They already have 8 turnovers this year, so they've been getting a lot of picks, a lot of fumbles, stuff like that. So Hurts has been taking great care of the ball. So it's a tougher challenge, but I think Hurts can easily rise up to it and be completely fine this game.
Yeah, if we win this game, we go to 4-0, and that's a ton of momentum going to the Cardinals, I believe. And we have a few games after like this game that aren't, automatic wins, and no game in the NFL is an automatic win, but we've had some pretty easy matchups so far with actually, I mean, the Commanders are really the only easy matchup so far. But yeah, a ton of momentum. I don't know. When's the last time we went 4-0?
I can't remember. I cannot remember.
Super Bowl winning teams start hot early in September. So hopefully we keep the momentum. Well, it's going to be October this game, but hopefully we keep that momentum going into the Jags and the Cardinals and so on.
Yeah. A more fun thing for me, I would say, can we have a player to watch from everybody on the Eagles, preferably?
No, I'm watching the Jaguars kicker.
The Jaguars kicker.
Yeah.
I'll take the easy one in TJ Edwards because, again, like Dakota said, they're going to have a lot of screenplays with Robinson and Etienne. So we loved TJ Edwards, big fan of him. Hopefully he flies around. And Kaiser White, just those 2 linebackers, they're going to be all over the place.
Yeah, I was going to say TJ Edwards. You got to come back to me.
My player is going to be Devontae Smith, just coming off of a little career day. See like if he's still, I mean, obviously he still got it, but I want to see if he can build off of that performance. He's not going to do better, but I really am just curious to see who, and I know this might sound like a stupid question, but who's the alpha receiver in this offense, or do we just have 2? Like, is it just going to be like every other week we see one or the other go off? Like, it's very exciting, and it's really interesting for me about who's going to be the target hog in the offense.
Yeah, all right. I'm going to go with Dallas Goedert because just kind of talking about Devin Lloyd. I don't know who's going to be responsible for covering Goddard, if it is Devin Lloyd or it might be Darius Williams, who's their nickelback. But like outside of Tyson Campbell and their secondary, I'm not really impressed with anyone. So I think Dallas Goedert can have a big day this upcoming week.
I have one more too. I want to see Josh Sweat get some pressure. He's had a good start to the season. He had a Pro Bowl season last year, but if he turns out to be like a dominant rusher, our D line just gets that much better. And we paid him already, so he kind of needs to be a dominant rusher. But that's another one.
And last thing, score predictions.
I'll go 31-24. I think this could be a potentially high scoring game. I think the Eagles cover at home. It's going to be a raucous environment. Jacksonville team, they're on the rise, but I don't think they're up to our level just yet.
I'll go 27-20 Eagles.
I'm going to go 27-24. I think this is actually going to be a pretty close game. I think Trevor Lawrence is a genuinely very good quarterback. And I think the emotions are high. We're coming off 3 wins, so we got to keep it going. But this could be like one of those like kind of shock moments in the season. But I hope we can persevere through that. I think it's a close game. I think we do get the win.
Yeah, so I think unless anyone else any more comments, we're good. All right. Yeah, go Birds. Path to 4-0 starts Sunday and gonna kill them. It's actually gonna be 59.
We're gonna
demolish all the other stuff. What?
Our score predictions don't mean anything. It's gonna be like 45-0.
Yeah, no, game's over by the first quarter. Everyone's gonna be leading because they're so bored because the Eagles are just too good. That's how it's gonna go. Subscribe like the video, share it to a friend. Yeah, go Birds.
Go Birds.
Birds.
Another fucking banger.